MGO Logistics and Supply is your trusted partner, providing seamless solutions for all your procurement needs. From sourcing products to managing imports and exports, we ensure smooth and efficient transactions every step of the way. Whether you require goods from across the globe or need assistance in exporting your products to international markets, we got you covered. General trading is at the heart of our expertise. We specialize in a wide range of products, catering to various industries and markets. As a trusted dealership in building materials, we provide high-quality products that meet the demands of our construction projects. Additionally, we act as manufacturers' representatives, connecting producers with distributors. Our expertise in logistics is the backbone of our operations. We plan and execute transportation and delivery of goods, ensuring they reach their destination on time and in optimal condition. MGO Logistics and Supply, guaranteed satisfaction.
I'm a branch manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Welcome back to Titans and Trailblazers, and to the extent that this is a Pan-African show, today we have another Zimbabwean marketing behemoth. And so I'm particularly delighted to welcome to the Titans and Trailblazers platform, Madam Emily Nemapare. Emily, you're welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I see from your profile you are a committed Christian. What does that mean, committed Christian?
Oh, committed Christian means that I believe in Jesus Christ, and yeah, that's my savior right there.
Congratulations, madam. It means we are starting on a very good note because I fully identify with your Jesus Christ. He is my Lord and Savior as well. So you're welcome to the Titans platform. Let's start from
Thank you.
Barclays.
Thank you for having me.
You were with Barclays for 17 years, right?
Yes, I was, yes.
In your capacity as head of marketing and communications, right?
Yes, I was.
Okay. So globally, October is Customer Service Month. And I want us to start by discussing how customer experience, customer service matters to somebody who's a communications and a marketing professional. Does it matter at all? Or CX can sit in one room, the marketers can be in one room, and then we can all believe God for the best. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I strongly believe that CS is the new reputation management, because your customer is the one that creates your narrative, your story for you as a brand. And so your brand is literally driven by what the customers are saying about you. And so it becomes very important for the narrative to be told by someone who's actually used your service. And that's the power of testimonies. So it is true that customer is king. And when customers have the ability to say good things about you, the next person will most likely listen to that customer instead of you doing a hard sell campaign. So absolutely, customer service is reputation management, is the new communications.
Awesome. I'm happy you went there because by the token of what you just said, You could spend $1 million on an integrated marketing communications campaign, and one rude receptionist, one rude personal assistant, one rude bank teller, one rude branch manager can bring to nothing all the investments you've made. Wouldn't that be correct?
That's absolutely correct. And in the age of technology right now, it is so easy for a comment to grow legs and become a global, literally a global communication crisis.
Absolutely.
Because all they have to do is to go online and say, I had the worst service at this branch and this is what it is. And because of the power of being able to even capture the moment, it's even evidence to the fact that maybe there are things, there are glitches in the system that your customers may actually, become very big pain points. So you just have to make sure that what you say is what the experience is on the ground as a brand.
Absolutely.
There's no two ways about it.
So you have to walk your talk in a manner of speaking.
Yes.
Okay. So let's go back to your early beginnings, madam. What shaped your passion for communication? Where were you born? Were you happy where you were born? What primary school did you go to? What secondary school did you go to? Who is Madam Emily? Where have you come from, madam?
So I was born in Zimbabwe. I am proudly Zimbabwean. I was born in a small little mountain town called Mutare, which is near the Mozambican border. And I was born in a family of four. My father was a pastor. My mom was an educationalist, and she became a librarian in her later life. But I came from a very religious background. Growing up, my dad was a staunch believer in education. We left for the United States when I was 3 years old. My three siblings stayed behind in Zimbabwe, so I migrated with my parents, and we lived in Boston, Massachusetts for about 7 years or so. Within those 7 years, my other siblings followed. And we tried to make a life as our parents were educating themselves. My father was looking forward to getting his PhD, and my mom got her master's from Boston University. Whilst all of that was happening, Emily was emerging as a young girl who left Zimbabwe at a very young age and assimilated into American culture very fast. I left around, and that was pre-independence. So in Zimbabwe, what was happening at the time, we had the War of Our Liberation, the struggle that was happening at the time. We gained independence just as the 1980s were starting. And life changed for us. We decided to come home. My brother was a soldier in the Liberation War, and he joined us in the States. Whilst they were joining us, we decided, my mom, my dad, and I decided to come back home and really settle back into Zimbabwe. And so fast forward, I did my education in Zimbabwe, went into high school at a United Methodist Church, like I told you, very staunch Christian background, and I decided to go back to the States again for my university degree, where I then got a Bachelor of Arts in Communication from Ohio Wesleyan University. Came back to Zimbabwe and decided to have children and proceed with my profession. So in a nutshell, that's kind of where I'm coming from. Okay. Very, very different in culture, American culture versus Zimbabwean culture, but that colors my background.
Absolutely. So was it at the point where you were studying for the undergraduate degree in communication studies, was that where you began to develop an interest in communication, public engagement? And what I want to find out is what in your childhood set you on your current path from a career standpoint?
I don't think it was intentional, but it was absolutely my mother's influence. My mother was a communicator by nature. She was a very boisterous woman who had such a strong command. And I think that seeing her in her profession was almost like seeing what I could be, the person that I could become. And she was an orator, and I think that's where the seeds started, getting planted at a
Okay.
very young age. So by the time I went to college, it was I immediately got attracted to communications. I
Okay.
immediately got attracted to marketing. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, apart from your mom, what are some of your biggest influences or mentors growing up? And how have they shaped your leadership style, madam?
So one of the biggest influences, and African cultures, you're never raised by one mother. You always have many different mothers, and it's not uniquely Zimbabwean. I think it's uniquely African. That you have the next door neighbor lady who also has her 2 cents in how you are raised. I grew up with some very powerful Black African women, and they shaped the values that I stand by. They shaped how the expectation in terms of, where I stood as a young girl, last born in a family of four, and the ethos of what is important to me. So I saw women making a difference at a very young age. I saw women fighting for what they believed in at a very young age, I think that really got me into understanding that women empowerment starts. We need to teach our kids at a very young age what those beliefs are.
Okay.
So it's the women that raised me, not only my mom, my aunts, but also the women folk in the town that I grew up in. So I value that
Fantastic. So,
extremely.
awesome, awesome. So, if you had to walk us through your professional journey, your career, can you give us a step by step narration of where you went post degree, where you moved to, and where you are now, madam?
Okay. So I came back from the States, and immediately communication was what I was going to get into. I joined an NGO because I did have a Bachelor of Arts in Communication, but I had a minor in Women's Affairs. So I started at a small NGO at the time, and then went into corporate because corporate in Zimbabwe is what was really thriving at the time. So I went into forestry. From forestry, I went into insurance. From insurance, I went into oil. So all of these different companies, what brought my role together was their need for public affairs, their need for storytelling at the time. It's great that we can now put a name to it, that it's called storytelling. But at the time, it was PR. At the time, it was just their communications. And those different industries gave me an opportunity to grow not only myself, but the experience that I had within the corporate space until I got into an organization that was looking at, communication on a global level. And we were taking global best practices and trying to implement and localize them in the Zimbabwean market, which was, I think, a great opportunity. And that's what I had with Barclays eventually at the end of the day. So I've worked for insurance companies, and then I ran my own business for a good 7 years before I joined Barclays Bank. And now I'm back to running my business. So my career has been colored by different industries, but all, the fabric that is consistent throughout is the marketing, communications, corporate affairs need for corporates.
Okay, that said, you still wear many hats. You've done executive producer work, you have a show yourself, you've done corporate relations work, you are a show host. So my question, and you're a fantastic mother, you have 4 daughters. So how do you balance all these roles so that you get the appropriate efficiencies no matter the hat you're wearing?
That's a really good question. And I think to be honest with you, the narrative has always been by women that we can find a medium, we can find some sort of balancing act where you can, feed all the different aspects of who you are. But the truth, or my truth, is that when you focus on something specific, something else will suffer. It will not be a 50-50% trade-off. It cannot be that I've got 6 spaces in my life and all of those 6 I'm attending to them equally. So when I chose to be a career woman, I was very clear that my choice to be a career woman would make, at some stage, a negative impact with my kids. So you'd find that some days I didn't make the consultation days. I didn't make the sports days, and I missed out on that. But I was clear that I had a partner at the time who could fill in that gap for me. But there was a lot of mom guilt that came with that as well. So to answer your question, there is no balance, I think. The balance becomes your ability to say, as an individual, you choose in this season to amplify this portion of your life versus this portion, and then, giving equally across the board for everything else, just so that you can create or, achieve the things that you want to achieve at the time. So some people go through a season where they want to start a family, and that's great. And then they focus on starting a family. But work suffers because not all work environments are supportive of women who are pregnant repeatedly over a 5-year period, because that's their plan to have kids. So it's give and take. There's something that will suffer. So the balance is in you choosing what you want to amplify at the time.
Interesting. So just on the note of women choosing to have children at a point, I interviewed a lady, famous media personality, on this show a couple of weeks ago, and she was speaking about feminism and was speaking about how sometimes human capital leads, human capital directors can actually choose against a brilliant female person because she's 26 or 27ish, and she might get married and she might have children, and it might affect the workflow, and she was making the point that those sorts of subtle discriminatory practices are not fair, to the extent that if a woman is capable, then you take her at the level at which she presents herself, not because she might be at an age where she probably will find a husband and probably want to have children. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? She was very strong on the fact that it's not a reason to discriminate against a high-performing female professional only because on her CV she looks like, she could get married soon and get pregnant often, like you spoke to it. What are your thoughts? Mm-hmm.
I know this is going to get me into trouble, but let me be upfront and honest with you. I honestly believe that there's some truth in that, because as an executive,
okay,
you're looking at the output. You're looking at what it is that you can accomplish as a team leader, and you're looking for the best person or the best team to propel you to that, to achieve your targets or to achieve what it is that you need to within your workspace.
Absolutely.
And the truth of the matter is that someone who is pregnant and who is looking at growing her family will not be able to give you 100% of her time at work.
Absolutely.
And this is something that a lot of leaders need to then say, okay, I've seen that this woman has potential, but I'm going to give her the grace and the latitude for this period, because I know that she's growing her family, but her potential is X. Now, when you're hiring someone, you don't have that background. So all you see is a 26-year-old who's probably just married, and you know that the next thing is that she's going to probably have, family, and she's going to grow her family. So as a leader, you do unconsciously and maybe even biasly take that into consideration. And it's not only men, by the way, who are a bit ruthless in this truth. It's also women leaders who say, can I meet my targets if I take this person on and she's going to continuously have children over the next 5 years?
Okay.
So is it right? Professor, I don't think it's right.
Okay.
But I think it's the truth.
It is what it
Yeah.
is. Okay, all right.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Okay, all right. So, can you share one or two projects which you believe best define your professional legacy so far? Maybe a campaign you ran, maybe some boys you saved, maybe just two definitive projects that you think are flagship in your own career.
I'll tell you the first one. When I was with Barclays, we, within the community space, we had a big challenge to create partnerships within local communities that were more than a year, 2 year, rotation. And one of the key partnerships that I had the privilege to be a part of and to drive was a partnership within the agricultural space. Now, we all know that agriculture is about food security, and there are a lot of young people who are in rural areas who have absolutely no access to income generating projects. We managed to bring to life, or at least to inspire and to deep touch, 30,000 young people over a 3 year period.
Wow.
And within the agricultural space. And we were working very closely with international and local partners to get this project running. Now, why is this probably my most special partnership? It's because when you teach someone how to fish, then obviously you know that they can fish themselves. And we were doing this because we were equipping young people with fundamentals, with farming fundamentals, agricultural fundamentals, and then giving them a bit of seed money so that they can actually start these projects. Now, I wish I could go back. This is probably maybe about 7 or so years ago. I would love to go back into those communities and actually see how many of those projects are still running. Because at the time, the 30,000 seemed such a big number, but over a 3 year period, it just meant that we were doing a lot for a lot of young people and showing them that you can actually earn from the land that you have access to. So that project probably was the highlight of my career. Another project that we worked with was women who were also within the agricultural space. They were producing chilies, red chilies. And who was their market? Their market was these international cosmetic houses. So in small little places in Zimbabwe, rural places in Zimbabwe, we're producing chilies, and through the partner that we were working with at the time, they were processing those chilies and sending into a more international, platform where you now get your red lipsticks, your L'Oreal lipsticks, and all these great brands, but the was coming from Zimbabwe. And I thought that was such an iconic story. We then monitored just the impact of the women that had gone through this 1 year, 2 year program. And we could see that already they were owning a lot more property. They had access to a lot more, liquidity, financial liquidity, where they were able to make decisions in their homes. So I think for me, my passion is giving back. My passion is seeing corporate money going to good use and making a real impact in local communities. Not just a tick box measure, but real impact where we can squash donor dependency and make people self-reliant. So yeah, those are the two.
Awesome. Donor dependency, self-reliance. That's music to my ears, because I felt for the last 2 decades that there's tremendous room for South-South cooperation. And in this Africa continental free trade era, give me 2 quick wins that we could achieve if we worked closer as African countries. In a minute, 2 quick wins if we work closer as African countries.
Oh, first and foremost, ease of trade.
Absolutely.
Like this whole issue, ease of trade, because it shouldn't take me long to be able to access another country, just physically.
Okay.
Number 2, the power of the African continent, as a continent, outshines any other continent.
Awesome.
We're the fastest growing continent. We are the continent where everyone wants a piece of the pie. Why can we not collaborate and use that, to just empower ourselves as African countries? Simple for me.
But is it a paradox then that you feel as a continent we have power, but one of our nagging challenges has been the brand storytelling? Over several years, we've left it in the hands of global media outlets. So what doesn't work gets told. But I don't think we've actually tried in a more conscientious manner to tell the brand Africa story better. What do you think, ma'am?
I'm so inspired by what I've seen in Rwanda.
Okay.
Because Rwanda has been able to, I think it's the biggest example of what PR and what storytelling can do.
Absolutely.
I mean, look at the history of Rwanda.
Absolutely.
And look at where they are now.
Absolutely.
And how they have managed to make the Rwanda brand
Absolutely.
a brand that's associated with being proudly African.
Absolutely.
That is the power of storytelling.
Absolutely. So from genocide to one of the most enviable country brands by far. And 3-4 years ago, I was working as Deputy Vice Chancellor at the University of Kigali, so I can testify firsthand to how serious they are about putting out a tremendous image of the country brand. So on the issue of country brand, we'll take a short break and come back with more of Titans and Trailblazers. Please stay tuned.
MGO Logistics and Supply is your trusted partner, providing seamless solutions for all your procurement needs. From sourcing products to managing imports and exports, we ensure smooth and efficient transactions every step of the way. Whether you require goods from across the globe or need assistance in exporting your products to international markets, we got you covered. General trading is at the heart of our expertise. We specialize in a wide range of products, catering to various industries and markets. As a trusted dealership in building materials, we provide high-quality products that meet the demands of our construction projects. Additionally, we act as manufacturers' representatives, connecting producers with distributors. Our expertise in logistics is the backbone of our operations. We plan and execute transportation and delivery of goods, ensuring they reach their destination on time and in optimal condition. MGO Logistics and Supply, guaranteed satisfaction.
I'm a brands manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Welcome back to Titans and Trailblazers, and with my fascinating guest, Emily. Emily, what is the most difficult career decision you've had to make, and what did you learn from it, madam?
Great question. And I think, so I'm going to pick up from our previous conversation. I think the biggest career decision that I had to make was to say to myself, Emily, this is the time where you need to grow your career. This is the time where you need to focus on you becoming or getting that corner office at the expense possibly of you being a mom, you being a wife, you being, a strong member within your community. Now it was time for me to focus on my career. That was a very hard decision to make because, like I mentioned previously, it's in the small, decisions. Like a meeting starts at 4:30 and you need to pick up your kids. But you easily cannot be the person who says, sorry, I need to get out of this executive meeting because I need to go and pick up your kids. You need to make a plan, you need to make structures, support structures that allow you to be able to grow your career. So there's a lot of give and take that happens when women excel the corporate ladder because, and there's a lot that falls away as well. And there's a lot of mom guilt, and that's very important. So I had to make that conscious decision to say I will not always be in the places that society expects me to be, because I'm trying to build this thing called Emily the Executive. So let me just be focused in that space. What I learned from it is that it's all about choice. You have to be deliberate in the choices that you make, and you have to understand that you cannot have it all. You cannot have it all. So, that was a big lesson for me.
Okay. But as somebody who's worked across industries, I've been in marketing for 2-3 decades, so I could say that skills are transferable, except business to government marketing is not business to business marketing, it's not business to consumer marketing. So how do you, as somebody who's worked across industries, transfer skills from one professional space to the other?
The biggest lesson that I've learned is that, number one, you have got to understand the industry that you're in.
Indeed.
Marketing may be your core understanding.
Indeed.
But the nuances of the industry
Absolutely.
then amplify how you then can implement your skill set
Absolutely.
to suit the market that you're serving.
Absolutely.
So if you're in banking, it's certainly not like selling timber.
Indeed.
But because your stakeholder is different, your reputational risks are different.
Indeed.
Everything is different.
Indeed.
But you have to understand your core business.
Indeed.
And then you build from there.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you, madam. And sometimes when marketing people get bashed, when communications people get bashed, the complaint I hear is that we are not nuanced enough in respect of the industries we are domiciled in. So indeed, if you're in banking, the guys in treasury think they know far more than you. The guys in institutional banking think they know far more than you. Ironically, if you're a world-class marketer, you must know more than all of them, because you bring the context to bear and interpret it in ways that leverages the brand but doesn't sing the brand. Wouldn't you agree with me?
Absolutely. I mean, I totally agree with you. And to give you a really good example, I hate numbers, but I was in banking for 17 years. How did I do that? I understood the power of taking numbers and telling a story based on the numbers.
Absolutely.
And I don't need to necessarily read a balance sheet effectively. I just need to know what the stories are from the numbers that have been mined by the great finance teams that we work with.
Absolutely.
And then being able to translate it so that our consumers understand what drives the organization.
Absolutely.
So that for me was something that I had to learn at a very early stage.
And I'm very happy you did. Congratulations, ma'am. So you have the EN show, and I can tell you what inspired me to conceptualize Titans. I thought Africans needed to hear great stories from those who've succeeded either by building their own businesses or doing trailblazing work in one sphere or the other. That's the spirit behind Titans. So for you, what is the spirit behind the EN show, and what inspired you to start it, madam?
Very similar, and I want to be honest with you. I'm tired of having our story as Africans being told by people who are not Africans. It is time for Africans to tell our own stories on our own terms, and in the tone and in the tonality that suits us, because we are the owners of the stories. So, a lot of Western media is always, taking our stories and misconstruing, a lot of what happens in Africa. But it's not for the sake that we can't tell our stories. And another thing is that it's not all doom and gloom in Africa. There's so many things that are happening that inspire people every single day, but they're not being told. Those stories are not being told. So if we don't tell our stories, then who will at the end of the day? It's a new season. We want feel good stories. We don't want to be bashing anymore. Yeah.
Just to follow on from what you just said then, what is your dream regarding the impact your show should have on local, regional, and global audiences?
My biggest dream is that if someone can click, if a potential investor is looking to invest in Africa and they're saying, where should they be putting their money? And they're doing their research on the fabric of society and what drives countries.
Yes.
I want them to be able to come across our content and say, wow, this is the untold story.
Absolutely.
The statistics are telling us this, but this is what drives the people. This is what drives the citizens of this country. And if I can do that, and if I can contribute to the narrative and see inflows, financial inflows coming into our country, then I can sit back and say I've created a legacy, and I'm ready to die after that.
Absolutely. Not so soon anyway, but just keep doing the great work. Can you share a memorable guest episode that has totally stayed with you in respect of the EN show?
That's such an unfair question. I have so many.
You have so many. Okay, give me two. Give me two.
But let me
I'll add
focus
one
on
more.
one.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, I feel so honored to be able to have people on my show because they're so willing to tell their stories. Number one, but I think one episode that really resonated deeply with me was when I was honored to interview the minister Monica Mchangwa, who is our Minister for Women's Affairs, small and medium businesses in Zimbabwe. And it was a two-part episode. First of all, to get her to say yes, I thought it was going to be a task, and she was so willing to sit down with me. But then when we sat down, I think her vulnerability is what shook me. She then narrated a very sad recollection of when she lost her granddaughter. And, I saw her so emotionally, in her story. And she shared it with such authenticity. I realized that it was a moment that I was honored to have had with her. It was one of those moments where it just felt like it was just the two of us in the room. I couldn't even see the crew. And in that moment, I realized that, I had managed to create a safe space for her to be able to share with millions of people how it felt to be a public figure, a politician, highly regarded politician in Zimbabwe. But at the end of the day, she was a grandmother who lost her grandchild.
Wow.
And for me, that broke my heart. That made me and my role as a host, I realized that it's God. It's God at work.
It is God.
And it is God facilitating so that other people would be able to, also be inspired by her story.
Yes, please. So, on the issue of Minister for Women, you also set up Zim Women Raw, correct?
Yes.
Yes, raw is a very interesting word because it gives me images of lions, and the Bible says the righteous are as bold as a lion. So I'm just sort of wondering, what inspired you to give birth to Roaring Woman, and what gap were you looking to fill?
What inspired me was the fact that there's so many women that are doing incredible things, and many of those women are not celebrated. And so what happens when we don't celebrate the women who are driving forces within small industries, who are creating powerhouse, platforms, who are taking that sledgehammer and literally breaking the glass ceiling and are not being celebrated and are not being spoken about? It means that our next generation don't have the local role models that they need. So we went to the drawing board and we said, we don't want to celebrate women who have already been celebrated. Zim Women Raw was a platform to celebrate all the women who just have never had a light shined on them. And that's what we started doing. We started researching in sports, who are those phenomenal women swimmers? In Zimbabwe, we've got a young lady who went to the Olympics swimming. No one knows about her. There are people from all different disciplines that were bringing in such gems of stories, and that's where we wanted to celebrate. And we don't do award ceremonies with Zim Women Roar, but what we do is we celebrate the different women in the different disciplines. So that's where it came from.
Many congratulations in that regard. That said, it's fair to still say a lot of Zimbabwean and African women face fairly Herculean challenges in business and setting up on their own and even aspiring for leadership roles. There's a bank in Ghana that set up a new sustainability program just yesterday, big launch, and the argument is that by 2029, at least 30% of the executive committee should be female. And I thought it was very interesting perspective to have, because when all is said and done, you can have a bank that also feels merit is merit. We don't care what gender you are. But I thought that was a very forward-looking perspective. So what 2 or 3 major challenges still remain for African and Zimbabwean women in leadership and business today?
I think the issue of equity is probably the biggest. So we can talk about empowerment, and I think we've done a great job to empower a lot of women. And once we've empowered them, the question then becomes, what is the equity? How the lay of the land? Because equity speaks to uniquely providing, support for individuals based on their given talents, based on their needs, right? So are we being paid in an equitable manner? Are we having access to business in an equitable manner? And I think that is probably the next big step the next big hurdle that we need to address as women. The second for women, I think, is, funny enough, it's not just about women. It's also about men and, their role in women empowerment. So are we not having a one-sided conversation when we talk about women empowerment? Are we also, talking about men and the role that they have, especially with situations like GBV, gender-based violence, and all of that? And are we not even nurturing a generation of men who are not really able or equipped to manage or to support this woman or to partner with this woman who is empowered? So the woman empowerment conversation can absolutely not be one-sided. It has to be balanced with men coming as well with their 50% and understanding what this new woman looks like. So I think, if we could address the issues of equity, if we could be less biased about women and the roles that we are now able to take over, I think that would set us light years ahead of a lot of other countries, especially because we've got African tradition also to be managing. We've got cultural issues that tell us that women should not do this, women should not do that. So not only are we facing Western culture, we're also facing African culture that also is very patriarchal.
Well, it's interesting you should go there about taking a holistic view of what men can also do in this whole empowerment matrix. And the reason why I say that is, so across Africa, there are also instances where teachers are even harassing secondary school children. Forget university, secondary school ladies. In some universities, it's happening as well. In the workplaces, it's happening as well. Now, harassment doesn't always have to be meant to women, but it would seem as if that seems to be the predominant occurrence. So this support you speak about in terms of men also playing their role, don't you think it should go even lower and just provide safe spaces for girls to thrive even before they become women? And then when they get into the workforce as well, still continue to crave the safe space where they can go to work and just be brilliant at what they do without fear of being harassed or unduly troubled by the male gender. What are your thoughts, ma'am? I just have to go there because you said, yeah.
That is very important. But we need to start asking the question, why are men harassing at that level?
Okay.
Why are men perpetrators and not protectors of women?
Absolutely.
And that for me becomes the root. So when I was in college, we had issues of gender-based violence. We had sexual violence happening at college campuses all over the world, right? And those issues are still plaguing university institutions across the world. We still have the same problems 30 odd years later. So my question then becomes, fundamentally, where is it that we need to get to? We need to start asking the questions that have not been asked. Why is the perpetrator that he or she is in this day and age? What is it that's driving them? What is it that's lacking in them? You'll find that, number one, many people or many young men are raised to have no accountability in some cases of them being the protectors of their sisters, of their mothers. Why? Because they're also seeing the violations happening in their own families. Fathers are beating up moms in front of children, and the boy child is learning at a very young age that this toxic masculinity can translate into this behavior, and that's what then comes into the workforce. So do we have, places of safe haven for young men to understand that it's okay for them to also say, this woman is toxic for me? Because yes, there are women who are also abusing men, right? But granted, the number is very, the percentage is very, very small. But to be able to say, I am not okay in this environment, and it's okay for me to walk away from this environment because it is still abuse. Just because I'm a man, it doesn't matter. But abuse is abuse. So at what stage do we start bringing in the boy child into the conversations around women empowerment? We have to do it at a very young age. We need to sensitize, we need to raise them to believe that they are equals, even at that level. But we're not doing that. And once again, African culture is a big part of that conversation. We have totems. I don't know if you have totems in Ghana, but we have totems in Zim where, we clanmens and, you talk about your totem. But the boy child, when he talks about his totem, it's said with pride. It's almost revered. And it starts when a child is even born, he's being called by his totem. 6 months old, already people are like, this is the father of the household. But he's got an 11-year-old sister who's being neglected. Already the inequality starts, even within the household. So how do we change the narrative? How do mothers start raising sons to love on their female relatives without having to use the emotional, the physical abuse tactics that we've been taught? That's where the conversation starts for me.
Okay, so the typologies they see early on, the patterns they see, that's eventually what they tend to copy, and then they perpetuate that sort of behavior growing up, and then the problem keeps exacerbating. That's your argument, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So how would you describe your leadership philosophy, madam?
I think my leadership philosophy is I take my team with me where I go. And this is not just physically, but I take them on a journey. So if you as a leader are believing in something specific, you have to bring your team along with you. Number one. That's number two. I'm very clear that I'm not a specialist in all the areas. But I can get specialists within my team who can help me to bring in 100% of what we need to deliver on our commitment to the business. So I don't have to be a specialist in marketing. I don't have to be a specialist in public affairs. There are people who are actually even better than me that I can acknowledge to say that this person is better than me. But my role as a leader is to bring all of those specialists together and give to the organization what it needs for us to reach our goal. And by the way, this is not me being unique about this. My former MD, I saw this, being so much a part of how he led, and I have taken it on over the years to be how I want to and how I have led my teams as well. You have to inspire. You have to be an inspirational leader. You have to give people the leeway to make decisions. Micromanaging does not work. And you have to allow people to make mistakes, because from mistakes is where you also pick yourself up and you are able to move forward. But I think the trust in that process is what is I think one of the most precious things within a leadership relationship with a leader and a team. Allow me to make my mistakes. Obviously, I'm not talking about mistakes that will, bust the bank, but allow me to make mistakes with your guidance so that I also can become a better individual. So that's what my leadership philosophy.
So you're very big on engaging, bringing people along so they take ownership of the journey as well, then they can ride with you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So on that note, on leadership and riding along, we've had a totally exhilarating show with Madam Emily. So please come back again and join us on the next episode of Titans and Trailblazers. Bye for now.
Titans and Trailblazers is brought to you by the MNC Group.
We're going to be talking about chronic kidney disease. I'm sure that a lot of you know about this. I mean, I've had friends who have died from that, and I'm sure that you also do. And it is something that is happening everywhere. You can't run away from it. You've heard plenty of people talk about it. We're going to be talking about that with Dr. Michael Yankee. He's going to tell us about the risks that are involved in that, and then also some of the labs that you're supposed to take so that you can figure out whether that is what you have, so that care can be taken quickly and then your health can be brought back to you. Dr. Yankee, once again, we're here.
Thank you, boss.
All right, so chronic kidney disease, talk to us about it.
So in very simple terms, when we say chronic kidney disease, what it means is that it's a decline in the function of your kidney. Now, first of all, you must understand that your kidney is what produces urine. How does it do that? It filters your blood, it removes all the waste products from your blood, and then it comes out as urine. So the urine that you see contains a lot of waste. It's not supposed to be in your blood. Now, if you have a decrease in the function of your kidney, then that's when you say you have chronic kidney disease. Usually, if it goes on for more than 3 months, then we say you have chronic kidney disease. So basically, that's what it is.
Let's talk about some of the labs that you need to quickly take in case you start to see symptoms.
Okay, so for the labs, you have to link it to the risk factors. So there are two commonest risk factors of chronic kidney disease. And in our context, hypertension, diabetes. So you can see that most of the conditions, you have hypertension and diabetes. Hypertension, diabetes, in our setting, are the two commonest risk factors for chronic kidney disease. So in terms of the lab, first of all, you need to check your blood pressure, know your numbers. Go to the hospital, check your blood pressure. The second thing is that do a full blood count to see if there's any infection in your blood. Very important. Know your HP level. The third thing is that you need to know your sugar level. It's either you are checking your fasting blood sugar. Fasting blood sugar means that you fasted for more than 8 hours and you are checking how your body regulates the sugar level. Or most importantly, what we do is if you want to find out if someone is diabetic, there's a particular lab we do. It's called glycated hemoglobin. It's very simple. I mean, it's a big word, but it's very simple. What it means is that the percentage of sugar that is bound to your hemoglobin, we calculate the percentage and then tell you whether it's within the normal range or above the range. Then that range can tell us if you are actually diabetic. So glycated hemoglobin, do a full blood count. Then most importantly, you have to do a kidney function test. There's something we call the EGFR. It's the filtration rate, the ability of your kidney to filter the blood to produce the urine. If it is down, it is on that basis that we say that, okay, you have a stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, or we say that you have a kidney failure such that you need dialysis. That is how we're able to determine. So you do a kidney function test. The fourth thing is that you need to do a lipid profile, check your cholesterol level, because that can also put you at risk of having a CKD or chronic kidney disease.
All right, so you were talking about dialysis, and I wanted to quickly have that conversation with you. Why do you think these days majority of the kidney disease or kidney failure disease that's happening all around has to do with the youth? And most of them, when you go to the dialysis rooms, they are the ones that you meet over there. And what are the advantages and disadvantages of the dialysis?
So like I said, you know, this youth, I don't know whether it has to do with the kind of food that people are producing now. I don't know, but the youth are coming with hypertension, they are coming with diabetes. Someone who is 23 years, 24 years having diabetes, a young person having hypertension is quite strange. And so for such people, of course, they are at risk of. And we notice that because these conditions